The Razorbacks are just a few pieces away from finalizing their incredible first class under Ryan Silverfield. Guys, make sure you like and subscribe for more Razorback content as we finish up the transfer portal.
Yeah, so the offensive side of the ball is pretty much locked down. Probably one to two more offensive linemen, but other than that, I feel pretty comfortable saying that we won't get any more skill position players on that side of the ball, especially after signing Chris Marshall yesterday evening and the wide receiver from LSU today.
Yeah, no question. And I think you look at it, offensive line, you have Kittler as your center, Kobe Branham as your right guard, and you have Malachi Breland from Memphis, who's most likely going to be your left guard. And then you signed what's his name, Bryant Williams from Louisiana Lafayette to be one of your offensive tackles. So other than that, you might need to go and get another offensive tackle. You got that boy from OBU, Terrence Robertson, so he could be a great pickup on that other offensive tackle. But it'll be a great idea and great offense this season for the Razorbacks.
Yeah, I definitely, like I said, look to seeing one more offensive lineman, but I am pretty pleased with the guys they've gotten. But really, we need to flip it over on to the defense, and that's where I think there's still quite a bit of work to be done, especially on the defensive line. Obviously, you said David Oki is returning. We had spoke about that. We got a few transfers there, including uh, Carlin Jones from USC and Hunter Osborne from Virginia. Those are two guys that are going to make a huge difference. The edge rushers are pretty well set with Quincy Rhodes coming back, Charlie Collins. You got Steven Souls from Kentucky, and then Waller from Auburn. Defensive back, I really was worried about it, but I really do think that they are settling in on those guys.
Yeah.
I believe they signed seven defensive backs now. I would like to see that the lone safety right now in the transfer portal class is Christian Harrison from Cincinnati, formerly also at Tennessee, who is going to be a stud. But we need probably one more defensive back and one more safety, which pretty well adds up for us to hopefully go get the Metcalf brothers, is what I'm fingers crossed for. So, anyhow, sorry, I rambled on a little bit there.
Yeah, both of them played for Darwin Wilson when he was a coach prior to before he left. So I could easily see them coming back and playing for the Razorbacks. Linebackers were pretty set, but defensive back wise, we had nobody come back, or we might have had a couple come back. But linebackers were set with Jaquavion Smith, Kamori House, Steven Souls, Phoenix Jackson, and I believe Bradley Shaw is coming back, and so I think it would be Bradley Shaw, Kamori House, and Phoenix Jackson. You still have Wyatt Simmons from the team this year, so it's a great linebacker room. But though we do need another safety and a couple more depth pieces, maybe one or two in the defensive back room. I do like what they are putting together with Jaheim Johnson from Tulane and all of those cornerbacks that can help move that offense up. And I really like how Roberts is doing the defense, and I think he will really coach them up next season.
Yeah, and another name I forgot to mention was Ben Bogle, the linebacker from West Virginia, who they're talking about. It's one of those guys that could potentially be a day one starter. So I feel very confident in the pieces that they've gotten. Obviously, they talked about NIL and how the Razorbacks were, aimed to be middle of the SEC, basically top half of the SEC. As things have shaken out, that's kind of been the direction it's going. But that's because you've gotten teams like LSU, and Texas, especially, and a few more that have really spent a lot of money to get a few pieces in. But you have to feel better this year about the direction that the Razorbacks are moving because of where they've been in the past, especially when you have teams like Alabama who have slipped.
Yeah.
And it feels great just not to be 14th, 15th, 16th. Even being seventh and eighth feels so much better, and still being top 15 in the country,
No
in this
question.
portal class.
And I think one thing that Razorback fans they need to look at and enjoy, but also don't get too worried about it. Obviously, Razorback fans want to be top three in the SEC, top five in the SEC, which is great. these teams that are ahead of us, one Kentucky's ahead of us, but also they're bringing in all of these players that need that's increasing their rankings, right? LSU, same thing. LSU retained a couple great players, but basically their whole team left. Same thing with Texas and all of these things. Whereas offensively, Razorbacks added just a couple core pieces that benefit us. But imagine if we would have got Quincy Rhodes in the transfer portal. That would have been a 5-star probably. That would have boosted our rankings up to the top five. We still have him. KJ Jackson or AJ Hill, both great picks at quarterback, but KJ was obviously already on the team. So you got to look at those and what was still on the team coming in. And that's definitely not skewed in the rankings. And I think that would put the Razorbacks a lot higher with our young wide receivers and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, and can you imagine right now in the transfer portal looking for more guys, and you didn't have a Courtney Crutchfield who announced he was coming back today. You don't have Antonio Jordan who announced he was coming back,
Yeah.
or Jalen Brown, I mean, Jaden Platt, another name. And so you start looking at those, and like you're saying, imagine if we were looking for those pieces. This class would feel a little more like, oh man, but
No question.
part of recruiting is bringing back the guys that you have on the roster currently or that are already in Fayetteville, like you said. And I think it's been just as impressive how many of those guys who were key components of the roster this year or could have been very beneficial are remaining in Fayetteville.
Yeah, like you look at the wide receiver room. We've talked about this. Omega Blake was the only big wide receiver that left. You got Chris Marshall, former 5-star. If he can stay out of trouble, he's got a lot of skill and can be that wide receiver one, like Traylon Burks a couple of years ago for the Razorbacks, and that's big. And then you have a bunch of young wide receivers that are going to um, push that offense forward. Running back room, you lose Mike Washington, which is really big. But I think defensively, if Razorbacks had a defense this season, I think there's no question that we're 8-4. No doubt in my mind with the offense that we had. And I think that's what the Razorbacks are trying to do. They have a great offense coming in, but I think they are trying to get that defense back, and I think they will do so.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that the defense is definitely something that was kind of our downfall this year. So, but interested to see how it all shapes up. But again, hey guys, we are definitely enjoying talking about the Razorbacks, preparing for the upcoming football season through the transfer portal and
Yeah.
through the rest of the off season. And for Colin and I, man, at the American South, we appreciate all of you tuning in. Again, down below, like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you think, and thanks again for stopping in.